Welcome to Giant Radio, where we're all about big ideas in sales and marketing and eye-popping discussions with successful entrepreneurs. Turn up the volume and settle in. Now, here's the founder of Giant Jacks Media and your host, Paul Hitchcock.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for jumping on Giant TV. This is Paul Hitchcock. I'm the founder and president of Giant Jacks Media. We help others to grow and nurture their businesses. As a matter of fact, this is where we're headquartered here in Orange County, California, near Disneyland. Really excited to have Penny Pearl on the show today. Welcome, Penny.
Thank you. Really looking forward to sharing some information with you about the things that I do every day to help people.
Well, we're going to jump in. I got to tell you, Penny Pearl, I'm thinking that's a Hollywood, name right there.
Mhm.
You should be on the big screen with that name. But you are a career strategist, broadly speaking, doing some amazing things with executives in their image careers. I just want to jump into that. What exactly are you doing? What's your focus?
My focus is working with executives who are interested in developing their career through planning, climbing the ladder, and have a strategy to do so. And what I find is that the state of the industry of a career search is broken. A lot of people are applying online. The HR community has a process that's followed, but in reality, 85% of the jobs today are found through networking. And a lot of people don't know how to network, and they do not know how to promote themselves, or it's really uncomfortable. So they hold back.
Yeah, because you were saying, Penny, offline, we were talking that the application process is broken. And you made the comment that, everyone wants an online application, you and 10,000 other people, but what's broken about that? It's just because there's so many people and it's, needle in the haystack?
That's one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of them, that you are competing against many other applicants. You go through an applicant tracking system, which is the technology that's designed to weed you out. And then ultimately you get to speak with potentially an HR or talent acquisition professional who goes through a few resumes and is going to invite you in for that initial interview. But they don't make hiring decisions. They evaluate whether or not you are qualified. And then you could possibly get introduced to a hiring manager. In reality, jobs are found through good strategic networking.
Mhm.
That means that you're reaching out to people who know, like, and trust you, and you have an opportunity to get introduced to other people in their network and directly to hiring managers who have a problem that you have a solution for.
Yeah, and that's great. I want to ask you about that, but you just, as you're talking, it just reinforces for me that anytime you want to get something done or, you want to move forward, if you group yourself in with everybody else in this big, machine that everyone says, here's how you do it, and you're just lumped in, it never is the way to do it. You've got to move outside of it. You got to get into the gutter a little bit and get wily and get street smart and kind of do your own deal. So that's my feeling with these things. But so tell me that when you describe you got to network and do these things, what do you mean by that? Network where? On LinkedIn, other places, and how do you do that?
Sure. That's a really good question. And one of the reasons I work with executives primarily, I also work with college students and aspiring leaders. But what happens is they're at work, they're doing amazing roadmaps and attaining a lot of goals in their work. But when it comes to a career search, they're not really sure how to go about it because it can be a very lonely process.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I do is I have a system that helps them step by step learn how to identify their value proposition, how to tell stories about their achievements, so that they're able to share things that will help and be a solution for the hiring managers that they're speaking with.
But where are they telling these stories and their value proposition? On LinkedIn with content they're sharing and emails they're sending out? Are you having them do events? Like, where are they getting that out to people?
Well, I primarily do the work on LinkedIn because most of the people that are in hiring positions, other executives, are going to be on LinkedIn. So that's what I help them with, is online networking. It involves some of the things you spoke about. First of all, identifying their value proposition, which many people are really not aware of. That means that the result, the impact that you're making in business through a qualitative statement or a quantitative statement. For example, we increased revenue by 20% as a result of a roadmap that I developed and achieving the goals inside the roadmap. That's a qualitative statement. But it's really reflecting on the things that you did that caused a company that you worked for to grow. So understanding your value proposition. Now, where does that show up? It shows up in conversations that you have with people at a networking event, or conversations online, or conversations on Zoom. It shows up in your resume, your profile. It becomes part of you. You know the things that you have to give to help other people, and you're communicating those things. You understand the difference between the value that you can offer and bragging. A lot of people are afraid of bragging.
Right, yeah.
So the ideal way to do this, and this is what I work with my clients on, is getting them to believe in themselves and the value that they've offered. And they do that through self-reflection and also communication skills that actually allow them to identify where they can add value and tell a story so that the other person receives that story at a very high level. So you're a leader, you're an executive, you're expected not to get into the weeds. You're expected to deliver a story at a strategic level. Okay. So it's telling the story in conversations through networking, and then taking the individual through the process so that they say, wow, I can really see that you're good at managing major roadmap projects, and that's your secret sauce. We could really use that in a new department or a new venture that we're starting. Let me introduce you to X, because he's running that department and they might be able to use your skill set, your ability to contribute to the company.
Yeah, that's great. And when you're talking about networking on LinkedIn, what do you recommend to your clients on how to network? Is it outreach campaigns? Is it just picking up the phone, calling? What's the process there?
Well, the process is outreach. So first of all, you have to identify what your secret sauce is and who are the individuals that are going to benefit most. Is it a CEO? Is it a director of engineering or a chief operating officer? And what is your message to them based on the value propositions that you identify, so that you reach out to them to get your connections. And then once they connect, you create, you have messaging so that you can schedule a meeting with them, 15-minute meeting or so. Have that initial introduction. Now, I always recommend researching before you have a meeting so that you can identify, maybe even before the conversation, a good solution that you can share with them to some of the challenges that you're reading about that their company or their industry might be having. So once you meet with them, then once you message them to ask for an introduction, then you schedule a time to have this introductory call and move through that with really good communication skills and sharing your value so that it can move to the next step. So it's outreach, and having a meeting is one way. The second way you mentioned earlier is by sharing content online. And that content has to be consistent with the value that you offer. What is your area of expertise? So for example, I do content every week consistently, and it's all about knowing your value propositions and how to strategically network.
Yeah, no, I was looking at your content. I'm looking down because I have your LinkedIn up here. Great content. I see it. Yeah, yeah, it's great. And then with the networking, so then when they need to do that, they've got to have a commitment to working on their business to
Yep.
do the content, to network. I mean, that requires time blocking and making it part of your identity every week when you're networking, you know, is that an accurate statement?
That is very accurate. It's a very, it's really important that you commit to your outcome. So if you are in a job search, or you are looking for a promotion, or you are promoting your company, what do you want as the outcome? In a job search, you want to be able to have multiple offers, not just one offer, multiple offers that meet the needs that you're looking for in a new role, where you can really be a good contributor to grow the company. And so what you're doing is you are creating career activity and a buzz around what you do, how you do it, and how you create success.
Yeah, no, love it. And then the networking, Penny, how does, you know, offline networking fit in today? Provisors and some of these other things. Are you a big fan of those sort of networking groups?
That hasn't really been part of the things that I help people with. Usually, it's there's a focus on online networking
Yeah,
or going to networking events. So I guess if you put those meetings into that networking events category, there are things that individuals can do as well. And I'll tell you, it's high level because a leader, as an example, when you're doing your job, one of the things you focus on is the growth of the company, and then manage all the other things that need to go into that, right?
Yeah.
Well, how many people go to a networking event fully prepared? Or how many go on to online on LinkedIn, as an example, fully prepared? They have goals of how many people they want to reach out to. They know the names of the individuals. They understand the challenges. That's all part of a system. So even when going to a networking event or a networking group, meet the people if you can before you actually go into that networking group. Who are the leaders there? Get there early. So the organizers of an event going up to them and saying, this is what I do. Who do you recommend? I absolutely get introduced to. Going in knowing how many people do I want to meet today? 10 people, 5 people. So having some goals and then enacting the activities in order to reach those goals. How many people fly across the country to go to a conference without preparation, and they leave and they say, it wasn't such a good conference. But if you prepare and you know who you want to meet and how you're going to present yourself, what are you going to say about yourself? It changes the whole picture. You'll come back with some really good, solid contacts and conversations, so that it was a great networking event.
I love it. I love it. I could go down a rabbit hole with this with you, because you had me thinking that, I mean, I just remember the days pre-internet when I was working, growing my businesses. You had to go to networking events. You know, I missed plenty of dinners with my family because of it, but you'd go, and I remember doing that. I always wanted an agenda before I walked in the room. I had on my best
Yes.
suit. I actually wore a suit and tie back then, business cards here. I knew, hey, I got to collect 10 business cards before I leave. I'm not going to hover over the hors d'oeuvre table and shove food in my face the whole time. I'm going to go meet people, network, get 10 business cards, walk away and follow up. So it was a whole
Yes.
agenda, which is what you're describing.
Right, right.
Yeah. And online's no different too. I mean, I what you're saying resonates too. Prepping online before you meet people, it's great. And then Penny, you're working with people that are trying to move up within their own company as well as other companies, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are so many people over these last couple of years where there either are resignations or people getting laid off.
Yeah.
But on the layoff thing, there are some people that have dedicated decades of their work life to working at a company, and all of a sudden they become part of a layoff. They have no clue on how to look for a job. They start applying online. They approach networking as calling somebody up and just having a conversation, whereas having a strategic conversation is very different, right? You
Agenda,
know what the
agenda.
outcome is.
Have an agenda.
Yes.
Yep.
And you
Yeah.
lead that conversation. The other person who you're reaching out to isn't going to have an agenda.
No,
They're
no,
just
God.
going to, yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Because I've got to interject here because when I'm working with clients, I tell them the same thing. When you're having that first call with somebody, you got to have an agenda. And for me, the agenda I stick to is I have very tight 3 parts. I humanize the interaction initially,
Mhm.
then I go to the relevancy of why I'm calling, and then call to action for the
Yes.
deliverable at the end. So I love what you're saying. This is great stuff. I want to tell everybody listening that you got to get connected to Penny. As I look at her LinkedIn profile, you almost have 12,000 people that are following you, very active LinkedIn profile. Penny's information is going to be around this video, wherever you're watching this episode, because we stream this everywhere, YouTube, LinkedIn, it's going to be on X, Facebook. But just get connected to Penny. We'll have your LinkedIn profile up there. Highly recommend it. Penny, I mean, I get to have you back on because there's a lot more to talk about, but this has been great. This has been a nice teaser of what you're doing. People got to get connected with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And, look forward to talking with people, having those introductory calls. And you never, ever know when that next referral or introduction is going to come. And somebody you least expect will provide you with the name of somebody that you are a really good connection for. And there's another opportunity.
Well said. Well said. Thanks, Penny.
Thank you.
All right.